would be internally grateful. However, I would argue that you're internally grateful, because if we keep rocking, you get to keep rocking. Feel me? Well, let's get into some music then. The aforementioned music that your donations keeps coming. Here's Lowell-esque Greg Koch, 95.9. Oh, wow, Lowell-esque Greg Koch or Koch or Coach. I don't know. I'm not him. I don't know. I'm just here, 95.9, RadioFreeFargo.org, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson, trying to do the thing. And I'm going to let him do his thing. But I will tell you, that's how you fire up a show right there. I mean, I was straight rocking in here. 95.9. People. Everybody cool enough? Anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. I'm Wilson. I'm going to open a big fat bag of cannabis news at 4:20. I will tell you now, New Economic Frontier. They are the group. They've got the signatures. And we're down to, August 1st? 11 days before Secretary of State has to say, okay, fine, you guys got enough. And nobody really concerned that it's not going to get through. This is just kind of a preliminary. It's what happens. It's what you have to do. You get the signatures, you give them to him. He tells you it'll be this date, and then he tells you, okay, yeah. Now, barring some crazy thing, feel me? Barring some crazy thing, I get it. And I'm with it. But like I said, I got faith in the New Economic Frontier's vetting process, and just the way they've been moving and shaking. I suspect that everything's going to be gravy. I would expect everyone else to think so too, which is a win. And so that's exciting. I'll keep you posted. Again, if you want to donate to them, they say your support fuels our mission. And so we're making progress, but we need your help to keep the momentum going. Why donate? Your contribution helps us reach more people. Funding strengthens our advocacy efforts, and it ensures that your voice is heard in shaping our state's future. So, if you feel like pushing the cannabis agenda in the state of North Dakota, I think it's a good one. I'm going to retire myself from spouting constant cannabis news. I think I'll always have my ear to the ground when it comes to that. But come October, November, I'm going to start talking about crazy news stories. What in the World will be the new show's title. And I'm thinking about what in the world and all that jazz, because I'm going to probably intermingle it with some jazzy stuff. But let me hit you with this. This is from the AP News. And this will probably fire you up, and I apologize for it. It kind of wraps my brain into some sort of thought pattern, which is wild. Chicken wings advertised as boneless, can't have bones. Ohio Supreme Court decides. Now, I just as a general statement, how can something boneless have bones? I feel like that less word, that less at the end, removes the flippin' bones, doesn't it? I don't know. I'm not great at English, but I have wrote a few books. No, I ain't done any of that, but we'll talk about it. Consumers cannot expect boneless chicken wings to actually be free of bones, says the Ohio Supreme Court, rejecting claims by a restaurant patron who suffered serious medical complications from getting a bone from a boneless wing stuck in his throat. Now, I'm going to tell you right out the gate, if I get boneless wings, I'm expecting nuggets, bruh. I ain't expecting a bone in there. Can you imagine? I mean, because the way you bite at something, the way you attack something, the action of your bite is different. If you going at something with a bone, possibly being in there, you're not going to want to go cock-pow on a bone. No, but you will go forceful on a smooth bite of anything. If there's something in there like a bone or metal, you're going to mess your teeth up. You need to know with what force to attack your food with. And if you tell me there's no bones, bruh, why am I supposed to assume there is? So anyway, this Michael guy, he's with his wife and his friends. They're at a wing joint. They order the usual. Boneless wings with Parmesan. Nobody cares. He felt a bite-sized piece of meat go down the wrong way. Didn't think about it. Later, he's feverish. They find a long, thin bone that torn his esophagus and caused an infection. So he sued the restaurant, saying the restaurant failed to warn him that these boneless wings which are, of course, nuggets of boneless breast meat, could contain bones. The suit also named the supplier and the farm. I don't know what that all matters, but Supreme Court 4-3 said Thursday that boneless wings refers to a cooking style. Now, this is where it goes sideways for me. It said Thursday that boneless wings refers to a cooking style and that Berkheimer should have been on guard against bones, since it's common knowledge that chickens have bones. Okay. The high court sided with lower courts that had dismissed Berkheimer's suit. A diner reading boneless wings on a menu would no more believe that the restaurant was warranting the absence of bones than believe that the items were made from chicken wings. Okay? Just as a person eating chicken fingers would know that he had not been served fingers, says this genius Justice Joseph T. Dieters. Okay, now here comes a really fun word, and that's why we're kind of sitting in this article, because it's great. The dissenting justices called Dieter's reasoning, are you ready for this? Utter jabberwocky. Utter jabberwocky, I declare. As said, a jury should have been allowed to decide whether the restaurant was negligent in jabberwocky in serving Berkheimer a piece of chicken that was advertised as boneless. Again, when they read, and here's the thing, the question must be asked, does anyone really believe that the parents in this country who feed their young children boneless wings or chicken tenders or chicken nuggets or chicken fingers expect bones to be in their chicken? Of course they don't, said smart Justice Michael P. He says when they read the word boneless, they think it means without bones, as do everybody. So I think that's crazy. I mean, what's the statement of this article again? And then we'll get you to a musical break here. And then 420, we'll open a big fat bag of cannabis news. That'll be fun. Chicken wings advertised as boneless can have bones, says the Ohio Supreme Court. That is crazy. All right. Well, we're going to play you a little tune here. This is from Tab Benoit. This is brand new. This is called YY 95.9. Yes, indeed. YY Tab Benoit 2024. That's brand new for your ear hole. KRWF 95.9. Lunatic Boutique is now open, located inside First Avenue Market. They offer antiques, art, oddities, vintage, and more, incorporating the artworks and practices of yesteryear. You can find Lunatic Boutique at 612 First Avenue North in downtown Fargo. They're also available on Facebook, Instagram, or at their website, Lunatic Boutique. Create, defend, and bless with Lunatic Boutique. Okay, I think it's time for the thing. The thing, man. We'll see you in 10 seconds.
Hey, it's Phil from Canna-Heads. Like this episode? Hit that like button. And if you enjoy the show, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on cannabis news, local and national. Listen live on 95.9 in the Fargo, North Dakota region from 4 to 5 p.m. on Thursday. For our non-Fargo region friends, you can listen on your favorite podcast platform. Just search Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Now enjoy the show.
All right, let's do it. It's 4:21. Late for the bus, they say. 4:21, late for the bus. Get it? Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. I'm your boy Wilson. We got news to talk about. But first, let me tell you, if you're a North Dakota resident, expect and anticipate by educating and spouting the good word of cannabis and the taxing and all the fun stuff that comes with it being legal in the state of North Dakota. As we prepare to vote for it in November, we are waiting the SOS's approval of signatures, but we do have enough. It's up to him now. Well, I mean, it's pretty much in the bag, bruh. But we got to wait. It's a formality. August 12th, we'll know for sure. New Economic Frontier on Facebook. You can keep up to date with that. But again, it's more about just spreading the word, doing a thing. All right? New Economic Frontier. We should have something on the ballot to vote on in November for legalizing cannabis. So stay tuned, stay grinding, and keep your mouth open. Or maybe closed. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, let's talk about some stuff. Let's talk about... All right. this fires me up, all right? But cannabis moment. U.S. citizen jailed in Russia for medical cannabis not included in the prisoner swap despite pleas from bipartisan lawmakers. I just don't understand it. I mean, it was crazy even during the Griner situation. He was there then. He used cannabis, Mark Fogel, as an opioid alternative to treat pain. He's a teacher. He's also a registered patient in Pennsylvania. I mean, that doesn't, exclude the fact that it's not allowed in Russia. But come on. I mean, it doesn't, it kind of just doesn't even up, and the people that they're swapping out is crazy. I mean, the word on the streets now, the guy they swapped out was a mastermind behind the 9/11 thing. All right? So why don't you include a little Mark Fogel? I mean, come on, put your boy in there. We're going to swap out some crazy freak? Give us Mark, too. I don't understand how he gets passed over. Okay? Now, there's widespread relief about the release of individuals such as the Wall Street Journal reporter Evan and the former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan. That's cool. I mean, them guys need to come back, I would imagine. And I don't know what they did to be detained. All right? And so maybe that's it. Maybe this is political, and then there's a legal aspect to Mark Fogel. He did, in fact, break the law. All right. Well, Fogel will continue to serve out his sentence, which is 14 years. 14 years. He tried to leave Russia, like I said, with a half ounce. All right. So as the news of a potential prisoner exchange is being reported, we urge that any swap include Mark Fogel, along with Paul and Evan. Mark is a Pennsylvania teacher with severe health issues who has been unjustly imprisoned in Russia. We've been pushing to bring Mark home as quickly as possible, but I don't understand. I just don't understand why he isn't included. All right, so I'll keep you posted on this. To me, it's crazy. To me, I don't get it. I don't have the answers. But I'm sure his family and him would like to get back. So pray for Mark Fogel, or whatever it is you do. And we'll talk about this. This is from Cannabis Moment as well. Updated Minnesota law allows rec cannabis smoking in public, but not in apartments. And this is going to be just going to be crazy how they figure all this out. Medical cannabis smoking is allowed in multifamily housing, however. So, Minnesota has some of the nation's most permissive rules for smoking and vaping cannabis, being one of just a handful of states that allows public consumption. Aside from some local ordinances that are more restrictive, 21 and older can smoke and vape where tobacco is allowed. But a date change in the state's rec cannabis and hemp law passed in May imposed a new restriction on private consumption. All right, so owners of multifamily housing must now ban it. They have to. They don't have a choice, right? The restriction was contained in the House File 100, but it wasn't to take effect until March of 2025. So there's a significant exception to that apartment ban, however. Cannabis users who are registered with the program, they can do whatever they want, essentially. So that's cool. 'Cause at the end of the day, I'm pro-medical all day long. I'm all about it. So, because there were no GOP votes for the bill, every DFL member support was needed. So, as a compromise with bill sponsors, the effective date was set for next March, but it's unworkable because they're not going to be ready. Second, so as to allow some whatever, they're pushing it ahead. So, existing clean indoor air laws and ordinances ban smoking of tobacco, cannabis in common areas, but until last month, apartment owners and managers could ban smoking in individual units, but weren't required to. Now they are, at least for cannabis. So it's taken out of the landlord's kind of... And so that's, to me, like, okay, now check this out. So you can still possess it, and you can likely grow plants under the limits. And they can use products such as edibles, but that don't require combustion, but no smoking or vaping. However, vaping is non-combusting, and it doesn't really smell. And so I would argue that people are going to vape anyway. They're just like, because you can't smell. Like, it's kind of silly. So except for the use of medical flower or medical cannabinoid products. So now check this out. The vaporizing of smoking cannabis products, artificially derived cannabinoids, or even hemp-derived consumer products. So we're talking anything that takes a lighter or a vaporizer is prohibited in the housing, balconies, and patios. Doesn't that sound intense? That sounds intense, but that's multifamily, so I'm assuming you got your own home, you got your own thing happening. But here's where it gets a little interesting. A violation of this, right? If you're caught smoking CBD even, is punishable through a civil administrative fine and an amount of, you ready? $250. Ouch. And who gets that money, right? Because who's going to enforce it? All right. So Latz said he wasn't involved in moving the date of the ban last month. He said he pushed the original restriction because he thinks there are health and nuisance issues with having cannabis smoking in a multifamily building. Now, I smell it in my own place every once in a while, and recently. And what's interesting to me is it's like an internal, my windows and your windows go into an internal space, right? Because it's where one building ends and another building starts. They put a roof over, call it all one building, right? But then it goes into my window, but then now it comes out my door, right? So it's like what you did now looks like I'm doing it because of the airflow and the way things are set up. Now, I'm not going to complain, I'm not going to cause any issues, but it's kind of a thing, it's certainly noticeable, So if I was, I don't know, a Karen or something, a narc, I'd probably press the issue. So it is particularly troubling to other residents from a health standpoint and from a nuisance standpoint. And so I can't really argue with that. However, I like that they allowed that medical patients are exempt. They're just exempt, and some patients can get the relief they need. Some require smoking or vaping, and they are allowed to do that. So Port said that while cannabis is unique in that consumption as a medicine could impact neighbors, it is too early to know what conflicts it might create in buildings, and you don't. And I suppose it's like if there was one person in an apartment building, right, that just was just no bueno, even a whiff, even a hint, a whole building of people consuming, man, oh man, right? That sounds crazy. All right, so the title is Build the Plane While We're Flying It. Cannabis regulators ready for the next phase of legalization. So a year after it became legal, state regulators are busy preparing. So let's see. I'm trying to find where because it gives us, it's kind of interesting. It gives us, let me see if I can find it here. Where are we? But, Minnesota cannabis regulators release new draft rules. Here we go. So this is kind of interesting. It's exciting to see OCM not simply duplicate the overly draconian rules used in some of the states. The cannabis purchasing experience in Minnesota will feel more like a liquor store purchase than in other states. So let's look at it. So one example he pointed to in the new draft rules is that retailers will not have to sit in a separate restricted area where customers' IDs are checked before they can enter a store. Rules for delivery drivers are also comparatively permissive, with drivers allowed to carry up to $3,000 worth of products to multiple delivery locations on a single trip. Now, I personally don't think that's a good idea. Does that sound like a good idea? Where else is a delivery guy driving with that amount? I mean, you ain't got $3,000 worth of pizzas. I mean, that seems like a lot. And if I robbed you for $3,000 worth of products, I'm going to be able to turn that for more, maybe. So, you know what I mean? I might be able to inflate that, or split it, or cut it. Or I don't know. Can you cut cannabis? Probably. All right. While drive-through cannabis purchases aren't allowed under the draft rules, they appear to permit curbside pickup or the slingshot method. I made that part up. That's where you just put it in a slingshot and sling it into your window as you drive by. It's great. Works great. I mean, there's really no risk. While drive-through cannabis purchases aren't allowed, curbside. So, Minnesota cannabis laws make reference to nearly 70 different rules to be promulgated by the OCM regulators. The encouraging thing just seems to be that we're not necessarily mimicking the overly regulatory, heavy-handed approach that's been seen in some other states. Maybe other states will see Minnesota rules as a sign that they should go back and look into whether they should be reducing some of the restrictions. They incorporated a lot of feedback that they solicited from the public. So, in other words, there's still time to comment, and it's not the official rules package, but rather a first draft. So we'll talk about that more. What else we got here? This is from Cannabis Moment. NFL moves to dismiss players' lawsuit over penalties for cannabis medication use, saying THC can cause injuries and alienation of fans. I don't get it, but the NFL and the Denver Broncos are asking a federal court to reject a lawsuit alleging discrimination over penalties he incurred due to positive THC tests from his prescribed use of a synthetic cannabinoid. I'm guessing Delta 8. In a joint motion to dismiss filed with the U.S. District Court for the DOC, that's District of Colorado, the league and team defended their cannabis policy for players, affirming it's their view that use of cannabis can lead to on-field injuries, poor job performance, and alienation of the fans. Gregory, it's also maybe quite possibly my name, filed his suit in a state district court last month, arguing that the NFL and Broncos violated the Anti-Discrimination Act by penalizing him for using the FDA-approved cannabis medication Dronabinol. Oh, he was literally prescribed it. The case, that's crazy. The defendants responded by arguing that those claims are completely preempted. The motion to dismiss also asserts that his allegations that they violated the anti-description falls flat because the statute doesn't expressly protect workers from being penalized over cannabis use, regardless of whether it's used for medical purposes. But this is Dronabinol. Like, this is like that, like that gangster pharmaceutical stuff. That ain't the same. That's like so legit, it's not good for you. That's just like aspirin in the system. So we'll kind of watch how that'll go. But he's apparently paid out $532,000 in penalties. So that seems like a lot. Cherokee Tribe will open the first legal cannabis store in North Carolina to all adults over 21 next month. I'm just kind of reading through some fun stuff. Florida senator who previously chaired state Republican Party endorses cannabis legalization ballot initiative. Now, Florida, that's going to be interesting, and I don't even know why, but they have to have 65% approval to pass. Lesser-known cannabis component CBG linked to improved memory and reduced anxiety. First ever human trial finds. I've utilized CBG. It's really quite neat. It's kind of as cool as CBN. CBN, man, if you got sleeping issues, boom, CBN is your boy. Supreme Court domestic violence ruling underscores why cannabis users shouldn't own guns. Here we are again, says the DOJ tells federal courts. In a new court filing this week, lawyers for the Justice Department argued that the government's ban on users owning guns, what it described as temporary disarmament users, no. Where am I at? Let's start over. It described as temporary disarmament of unlawful drug users. See, and that's the thing. When you can use those kind of words, people just dismiss it right away. It was supported by a recent U.S. Supreme Court decision that upheld the government's ability to limit the Second Amendment rights of people with domestic violence restraining orders. So, they say cannabis consumers are presumptively risky people. You're presuming now. Now you're being presumptuous? That shouldn't be the way you approach it. So anyway, Fifth Circuit previously ruled in favor of the individual in the case who faced a conviction after admitting to have used cannabis while in possession of a gun. And so they appealed that ruling, and apparently it's just a bunch of mess, and I'm kind of bored talking about it. They just really got to get their act together. This is from Cannabis Moment as well. Democratic Party prematurely claims Biden has reclassified cannabis and ended failed approach to cannabis. In a post on X earlier this month, DNC said the admin had reclassified it using a green checkmark emoji to signify that the job is done. But, ain't nothing happened. And whatever happened to rescheduling? But the more I looked at that, once you rescheduled and made cannabis medical, then you have to get a prescription through the pharmacy and a doctor, and then it almost voids out medical dispensaries. Like, it changes things for the worse, kinda. Like I don't know about it, because there's a lot of legalese when when you go from Schedule 1 to 3. You think it's progress, but it kind of just gives the pharmaceutical companies control over it. All of a sudden, they're the ones who get to decide. You got to come to a pharmacy. You can't go to a dispensary. It has medical value. We now control the market. I mean, I might not have that figured out, but there's something to it where when you apply the medical value, because when there's no medical value but there's still tax dollars, woo, we rock it. But once you put it in a category like, say, with codeine, well, then now it has to be regulated and monitored by the pharmaceutical companies or whatever board that is. So then all of a sudden it changes how the state can even function as they normally do now with medical cannabis. I think it's a big old mess. I mean, I'm excited that they agreed that it had medical value, but what's even happening? You know, they've even asserted, the party's even asserted that President JB and VP KH have succeeded in ending our failed approach to cannabis, but I don't see it. Biden did take a meaningful step by directing a review into cannabis scheduling that led the Justice Department to propose moving it. So it still hasn't been moved. The process is still ongoing, and there are questions about whether it can be completed by the time the next administration takes office, which means that just, the boopity boop boop and a beepity beep beep, and then boom, we'll be back. But again, I'm not so sure we want it to be brought to Schedule 3. I think there's pretty good arguments, why that's not a great idea. Now, again, in our just haste to be accepted, the cannabis used to be accepted by the masses, to give them proof. Hey, this actually isn't what you think it is. You were wrong. We were right. High five. Let's dance. Right? But in the process, what do we want to shoot ourselves in the foot? Because then a medical person who wants to get it can't get it. Now they got to go through a different process. They got to go to, a grocery store's pharmacy. They're going to get raped and gossed. There's just like all kinds of horrible hurdles. They're going to have to pay to go see a doctor. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I want that. So we'll play it by ear here. You're listening to Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. I'm Wilson. Every Thursday, I come on inside here. 420, open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and we doing that right now. I'm kind of sliding into a slow-mo because to be honest with you, I don't have much more to talk about. But New Economic Frontier, that's the push in the state of North Dakota. They have gathered enough signatures. It's in the office of the Secretary of State. He has a few more days here where he's got to relinquish it up and say we're good. Once that happens, I will be the guy to tell you. However, New Economic Frontier on Facebook will probably let you know sooner. I'll actually read it probably, and then come Thursday, I'll talk about it. So New Economic Frontier, stay tuned to that. August 12th, Secretary of State has to relinquish its verifiableness. Has to verify it. So let's take a look at the New Economic Frontier here. Let's see. Michael Hipsher says allow medical patients the freedom from paying costly yearly subscriptions just to have to access to purchase their medication and ensure they don't have to pay for overpriced, monopolized medication once it becomes recreational. Whatever he's saying, I'm with him. I believe it. Let's see if we can get some more here. Let's see. Oh, man, what we got? Let me see. Freedom to use cannabis inside my home. This guy believes alcohol and owning a gun is legal in all 50 states and at times a deadly combination. And he believes this. They claim it's an acceptable risk for America. And that's the other thing. They put all these weird, horrible words around cannabis users, but just all the violence and all the risk. Like they talk about being unstable. They think, well, if you're a cannabis user and you have a gun, you'll be more likely when you're jonesing to use your gun to get more drugs. Or you just be unstable and you'll be volatile. And we never look at any of the alcohol stats. how can you make any claims about cannabis and gun owners when I can get a 175 of booze with a gun rack in my pickup and drink until killing my wife sounds like a good idea, right? And it happens all the time. Google it, you know? I mean, I want to say spontaneous violence, but eruption of violence that a person hadn't planned on doing before they started drinking is well documented. And everybody knows that happens. And how many times? And trust me, it's happened to me millions of times. You wake up the next day, well, what did I do? I made some poor decisions last night that can come back and affect you later, right? You know, you want to forget it, but you look out your window and you've got your car smashed into the neighbor's truck. Now what? You know, you didn't plan that, but alcohol changed the outcome of your evening. And it can be violent, it can be negligent, but it's blatant and it's blatantly obvious. So I don't know. I just could never figure it out. And the hypocrisy just is so crazy to me. Let me just read you this title, and then we'll be kind of pushing on here soon. This is from the Independent UK. Woman mortified after buying McDonald's meal for homeless man, only to discover he was an ordinary customer. If I had a nickel for every time somebody slipped me money thinking I was homeless, I'd be rich. But what was wild about this, right? So a woman was left mortified. She bought a man eating tomato ketchup a meal because she believed he was homeless and he was just trying to get some vitamin C out of the ketchup packets. Okay? She saw an unshaven man with a rucksack sat at a table eating ketchup from the sauce dispenser, which that sounds crazy to me, right? I mean, that doesn't sound right. Fearing he was homeless and hungry, she decided to buy him a meal. She placed it in front of him. A member of staff brought over another meal and apologized to the man for the wait. She says, I feel like I was going to die of embarrassment. To be honest, my imagination ran away with me. Had this poor man been out on the streets? Was this the only food he would eat? I mean, it's like, well, what you're kind of doing a lot of thinking, a lot of presumptuous thinking. Maybe he had no money and was starving. She thought only desperation could lead someone to sucking on ketchup out the dispenser. She goes, how can I sit here with this meal and leave him with this ketchup? He must have been there for a good 10 minutes. She just assumed he hadn't ordered. She said she felt fantastic that in some way she had helped the man, but left the restaurant as quickly as she could when she discovered he was an ordinary customer. She says, I really enjoy McD's breakfast now and again, but I think I'll have to give that store a miss in the mornings in case I see that man again. And that's hilarious, you know. You mean well, and they didn't give us any more context, like what did he say to her? Did he thank her? You know, I mean, even I feel like a guy sipping out ketchup out of a dispenser going to be cool with an extra meal, I feel. But whatever. Lunatique Boutique is now open, located inside First Avenue Market. They offer antiquities, art, oddities, vintage stuff, and more, incorporating the artworks and practices of yesteryear. That's like the past. You can find Lunatique Boutique at 612 First Avenue North in downtown Fargo. They also are available on Facebook, Instagram, or at their website, luna.teak.boutique. Create, defend, and bless with Lunatique Boutique. That's kind of fun to say. Lunatique Boutique. KRFF 95.9, Radio Free Fargo.org is going to bring you a little music. 99.5 won't do. Blind Boys, 95.9. Yes. 99.5 won't do. Bobby Rush and the Blind Boys of Alabama here, 95.9, RadioFreeFargo.org, streaming everywhere. Stinky Yard is back in the building. He got a show for you in mere minutes, so stay tuned for that. I believe God created cannabis for us to use as we see fit, and I show him props every Sunday. 417 Main Avenue, Antioch Church, 10 a.m. recovery class. If you got a monkey on your back, or you've kicked that monkey off your back, but that little banana eater's pulling on your pant leg again, come by, check it out. 11 a.m. worship. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook. 1,200 megs of locally grown hemp, whipped up with a bunch of stuff. It's an outer body party for your body. Thank you, Black Cottage Alchemy, for sponsoring this show. Again, Stinky Arts Music Mart is up next. I'm out the building. I'll see you back here Thursday for another fun hour of shenanigans and jabberwockies. No, flabberschmocky? It doesn't matter. I don't care. And neither should you. I'm out of here, though. We'll see you again. So educate yourselves on the benefits of cannabis so you can educate others on said benefits. We want them voting yes. We want them smart and educated to make the right decision. New Economic Frontier on Facebook. Check it out for more information. I'm out of here. Judgment Day. David Allen. Peace.